So I've gone ahead and splined the body, and the mouth is still stepped, same as you saw before. And I'm going to play it for you, but instead of playing this QuickTime on screen, I'm instead going to insert this QuickTime directly into the video that I'm editing together right now, because I found that gives me the smoothest playback. So here's that.
From 1 to 10, about a 4. 5! From 1 to 10, about a 4. 5!
And I've also switched my animation from 24 frames a second to 30 frames a second for the same reason, helps with the playback rate. Anyway, I'll get started. The first thing I'm going to do is select all the mouth controllers and press the auto tangent button. And now if I scrub through, well, I'll zoom in on the mouth. And now if I scrub through, you see it's spliny.
From 1 to 10, about a 4.
And where I have a lot of keys, it already works fairly well. But in spots where it's supposed to be a held pose, it's drifting through. So, for example, right here, here it's supposed to be a held pose, but it's drifting into the next pose when he smacks open. So what I'm going to do is just go to the frame I want with the pose I want, and middle click and drag over to where I want that pose to be held to. So now I let go of the middle click, I press S, and these values are copied here, and now it's held, and it smacks open faster. And I'll actually nudge these over one more frame, and that's good enough for now. And another problem is right here. It's supposed to be a held pose, but it's drifting all the way through. So another way to keep the held pose is just to go back into stepped mode and then press S on the frame where you want the pose to be held until. So now this value is the same as this, and if I go back to auto tangent, this is still held, and then it's just transitioning from here on. So I'm going to go through real quick and set all my held poses. So I'll fast forward this part. And now that all my held keys are in there, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and now it's drifting here too, so I don't want that, so I'll go to stepped, set a key, auto tangent. So here, this R shape is right next to this M shape, and here the R is kind of smiley, the M shape's a little frowny. So I'm just going to get rid of the R. I kind of forced it in anyway because I was talking about how there's so many sounds in this little area. So this is one that I probably just didn't have to put in. And I think that works pretty well. It's a little bit cleaner. I feel like it still reads. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just watching the corners of the mouth right here. And from here to here, I want them to move in a little bit more towards this narrower M. So I'm just going to grab these and isolate the X's, and I want them to be coming in towards that narrow M shape. So I just adjusted that. So that helped a little bit with the flow. So good enough for now, I guess. And I want to get a little more time on the one with the open shape right there. So I'm just going to grab everything. And I'll just grab all of these. I think I can just bump over. So now I have an extra frame of his mouth being open, and I think the N and the T still sync up pretty well right here. And I'm seeing here when he opens up for 1, this corner is coming up a bit, and it's coming from here where it's kind of frowny. So it's down, then it's going up, and then in the next pose it's down again. So here where it's high, I'm just going to lower it a little bit. And I think that fixed it, so I'll move on to 10. And the trouble I see here is between this pose and this pose. And it gets kind of morphy in a strange way around like the upper lip in this corner. And also the upper lip is staying low too long, so it's low and then it pops up pretty quickly to reveal the teeth for the end shape. So I remember I did that when I was working with some combination of the blend shapes because I was trying to make this corner flow. I did that when I was blocking it, but it just got kind of messy unnecessarily. So I'm going to delete this in between, basically, so it's a cleaner transition. But I do want to keep the jaw value because this is where it's open the widest, and same thing with the wide and narrows for the corners. So I'll deselect those controls, but I'll delete everything else. And now you can see how it changes right here. And so it's similar, but it's just kind of a cleaner in between. And I just set the keys again so I can step back and forth. So this is the first open, and then the new in between, and then getting here. So I think it's just working better. It's cleaner. So that's that. And now when it's closing, the trouble here is that the upper lip is raising up before the bottom lip gets to it. So I want the upper lip to wait for the bottom lip to press up on it, then they'll both move up together. So I'm going to select everything again. And I guess this is about as high as I want the upper lip to be before the bottom lip gets to it. So this is about where I want the upper lip to wait for the bottom lip. So I set keys here on everything. Okay, so here at the top of my cursor is where the bottom lip should be, and okay, so it looks like about here is where the frame where I need to adjust it so it's in the right position for the bottom lip to meet it. So I'll set keys there, and then I'll use this control to lower the lip to it. That might be good. I'll say it's good enough for now. Here the lips connect, and then they raise up to this pose, and then it's just frozen here for a little bit. So I want this to keep moving. So I guess I'll go to the last frame, and I'll just move the whole mouth up a bit, and also widen the corner. I'll narrow the corner. Okay, so now it's kind of flowing into that closed shape and it's pressing up. And I guess I'll work my way out of the smack. So I'll go back 2 frames, set some keys, and now here on this last frame where the mouth is still together, and then it opens up. So on this last frame, I'll just lower this again. And try the same thing with the corner. I'll just move it towards the next value. All right, I like that. So now it's settling into this shape, kind of pushing up, and then it widens and drops as an ease out of that pose into the smack. And coming out of this pose, it's widening a bit, and then it goes into a narrower pose. So it kind of widens and arcs around like this, and then gets to a narrower pose. And here, it's just frozen in this pose all through here. So I'm going to ease into it and work with that arc. So I'm going to keep it narrowing as it goes on. So I'll just go to the end, grab the narrow controller, pull it in, and also this one, just move everything up a little bit. And now, so now it eases into that pose. And just to smooth this out a little bit, it kind of gets there quick, then kind of flattens off a little faster than I'd like it to. So I'm just going to even out that curve just by adding keys here. So I'll just set a key on everything, and then I'll just grab these keys and bump them over with my hotkey, and that just creates kind of a smoother transition. And so it's working well enough for now, so I'll move on to about a 4. And here his mouth is opening before he starts making the sound, and that's because when I was in stepped, I didn't set the key until I was on the frame where I heard the sound. But when I splined it, there's a transition happening, and that transition is starting before where I set this key. So it's happening here before the sound, and that's easy to fix. I can just grab all these and bump them over. And here I'm going to give them a little hint of a smile, and that's partly for performance. I was thinking it can be like a no big deal kind of a smile, and also it just helps with the flow, because here the F is the same, but if it's coming from a smile, then I can have the first part of the F be a little smiley, and then the second part of the F is not smiley, so it's flowing down and in towards the oo, so that helps with the flow, and I also thought it worked with the performance, so that worked out. And here, that's just too fast, so I'm going to bump it over. And then here just hits this pose and sticks pretty hard, so I'm going to add some ease. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to grab all these keys and bump them over a little bit, and then this value has changed because I've changed the position of these keys, so now it's like the in-between value. So I'm going to set keys here, but these are still selected, so now I'm going to bump them over even more, and that just kind of creates a softer ease, and I can do it again. I can set more keys here, and then bump these over even farther, so now it's a soft ease. So, alright, yeah, so there's some ease there. It's good enough for now. And here it's kind of linear almost, because the jaw is hitting the extreme open at the same time as the corners are at their narrowest. So I want to offset those to give it more of an arc instead of being kind of linear. So I'll move the jaw open sooner, and I'll bump the narrow later. So now there's kind of an arc going down and in like that. So that's better than what it was. But I want it to get a little narrower, a little faster. So here I want it to be a bit narrower, so I'm just going to set a key where the value is a little bit narrower with this tool, and then so I have keys there now. I'm going to bump it over, and then now it's narrower on this frame. So now I'm going to move on to the scream stuff, and this is all pretty simple. There's not really articulate lip syncing, so I'm just going to fast forward through this part too. And now to close out this video, I'm just going to show you how to create a camera that will stay looking directly at a character's face. So I'm going to create a new camera, so panel perspective new, and now I'm looking through this new camera, and I'll just position it so it's looking at his face. And now it shows up in my outliner. I have this new camera here, but I'm going to put it in a group because I want to constrain the group to his head controller, because that's what it's going to follow around. And that way I'll have the constraint on the group node, but then I'll still actually be able to reposition it and rotate it around after it's constrained. So I'm going to select the parent first, which is his head control. Then I'm going to control select this group, which is the child. Now I have both those selected. Go to constrain and parent. Now this camera is constrained to his head control, so it's just moving around with his head, and you can see his body in the background moving around, but it's straight on his face, so you can isolate, the head is stable, so you can really just focus on the mouth. So that can be helpful. And because it's constrained to the group node, you can still reposition the camera a bit, and now it stays at this angle, and you can look at things, or you can move it around over here and look at everything from this angle. So that's a face cam, and I don't use them very often anymore, but when I was new to this, I found them pretty valuable. So that's how you can do it if you want it. And now I'll just do a play blast of the animation that I've adjusted in this video, and we'll take a look.
From 1 to 10, about a 4. 5! From 1 to 10, about a 4. 5!
And I haven't done anything yet with the tongue, so I'll just get to that in the next pass. But for now, I'll refine the body and the eyes and the brows a bit, and in the next video I'll just take another look at the mouth, and I'll try to keep finding and fixing little problems.